Hey everyone, welcome to Zorp. Today we're going to build a very simple asset management system on the Zorp platform. Okay, so we're going to keep it very simple. There are a lot of complex scenarios we can actually build on top of it, but for the sake of this demo, we will have the ability to manage, all the assets. When you have a company, as by assets, I mean, any kind of laptops or accessories or furniture or anything else that you would have in your office space, you can actually call them as assets. Okay. The second one is you probably will have locations. You have multiple office spaces, multiple stores, warehouses, whatever it is. How do you actually manage these different assets in different locations is what you can manage here. You'll also have employees. So assets will be given to employees, like the laptop will be given to somebody or accessories will be given to somebody, etc. So all those things you can actually track by managing employees also. And finally, the asset transactions. So asset transactions, or we can call it logs, which shows the historical sequence of who owns the asset at what point in time. Okay, so we're going to maintain all of these. We're going to create the necessary system which will help you track all of these things. This is a great system for most of the companies out there. If you want to enhance this particular system, I'll show you how to do that also. Okay, but let's get started with these basic things for now. So one is to manage assets, employees, locations, and the transactions. Okay, so the first step is to obviously create a Zorp account. You can go to dashboard.zorp.one or just go to www.zorp.one, and you will be able to click on get started free, and you can create a free account. So once you sign up, it just takes less than a minute. You land in a page like this. The first step we're going to do is to create a table. Let me create a table for let's say locations, because locations come first. Okay, so click create. That's how the table is created with some default fields. I can create my own custom columns. All I have to do is just go click on this plus button and I can add a column. So I want to say location name, location. So I have a bunch of data fields that I can actually column types that I can actually use over here. So I have everything from text, number, boolean, date, image. You can do drop downs, file. You can even use locations, and there are some advanced ones which I'll actually talk about as we actually go. Okay, so I'm going to use text here, and I'm also going to say that this is mandatory, and this also will be a display column. Display column in the sense anywhere you reference to this location, this column's value, like because a location table will have the name of the location, the actual address, or the lat long, or any other remarks or details or owners or whatever it is. So but when you refer to this table, the display column is what actually is taken as a preference and highlighted. Okay, typically it's going to be the name, and we can also say that this column is going to be unique. So Zorp will automatically detect if there is a duplicate, and it will throw an error if you try to create a duplicate value. Okay, so location is done. So let's also create address. Address is again a text. We can use latitude, which is a number. We can create a longitude, which is a number. I can say remarks, which should be a text. So far, everything is very simple. The last one will say who is the owner of the location. So location owner. Okay, so here, I mean, I can obviously use a text and enter somebody's name, but I can also say that this is a user column. So user column will automatically identify that it'll automatically give you options of all the users who are part of this particular platform. Okay, so if there are multiple owners, you can say allow linking to multiple records, but in our case, we're going to have a single owner. It's up to you on how you want to do this. Hit create. So now my locations is set up. So let me add a couple of records. So location name can be, let's say, New York. Address is 115 New York. Latitude is minus 12 point, whatever. Remarks user, I'll just add my name as a user. So I have only one user in this account, right? So that's it. So the record gets created. You can already see that the particular username, the latitude, longitude, everything is actually given. Once I open it, I actually see that all these details are neatly arranged. In case I want to, arrange this differently, I can do that also, but I'll probably show it to you, a little down the line. Okay, so now location is actually done. So let's create another table where we manage all the employees. Employees already get managed in your users table, so we don't have to necessarily add a separate table for employees. So if you want to manage all the users who are part of this particular platform, go to settings, users, and you will be able to add new users here relatively easily. You can configure different roles as per admins or other normal employees or approvers. You can create these multiple roles. You can put them in different teams based on locations. All those capabilities are there. We've spoken enough about this. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but you will be able to manage all of these things. Okay, so next is we're going to create a table for the actual assets. Okay, all right, again, let's start configuring the fields. So we'll call it as a code. This probably is an alphanumeric code, which most of the companies actually have to represent each asset. And I will say asset make is a text, and asset model, which is also a text. I can say asset serial number, which could be text, but I can say that this is mandatory during creation. We have asset images. So I can say that this is an image type of column where you can upload multiple images. We'll see how that actually works. And what else? Asset value, which is a number. And I can say, yeah, I think this should do. So let me create a couple of assets, right? So I'll say XPR. I've often seen, quotes like this. Asset make is Apple. Asset model is MacBook Air 2022. Serial number is, mm, yeah. So I can add a couple of images. Just click on add images, and you should be able to, add images directly over here. It's not showing up because, but you can, pretty much click on it and it'll open it full screen. You can add multiple images if you want. So asset value, let's say, is $1,100, and hit create. Now the asset is actually created. We need to mention where the asset is located. That means the location of the asset, right? We will do, say, asset location. I can add a text over here, say what is the name of the location, but we already have a location table. So instead of adding a text, I can reference to the location table saying which location it actually belongs to. So this is done by a particular column type called relation. So relation, you can say whether it is related to one that is on table or there is an extra provision called Zorp task. We will talk about that in the future videos. But with respect to Zorp table, you can actually create a relation, and it also asks you which table do you want to relate to. So in this case, we are going to relate to the locations table, and only one location can be mapped at any point in time. So I'm going to leave it as it is and hit create. So now that I have created a new asset location, I can open this, I can attach a record, and I can choose New York. Okay, so I hit save, this actually gets saved. Okay, so now I don't just have a text saying New York, but the entire New York's details, including the address, the latitude, longitude, the owner, all of those things are visible within the dashboard of this particular asset. Okay, so pretty cool. Let me add another one. So XPR, and I'll add a different number. Asset name is, let's say, steel is asset model is TAR 115A. serial numbers, um, do something random. Asset value, let's say, is $250. Asset location, so we have only one location right now, so just choose that. Actually, I don't want to choose that, so click on it, save, it gets removed. I can create a new location directly while I'm creating or updating my assets. So hit create. Again, I can create a location here. So location name is San Francisco. Uh, address is 1 2 Market Street. The altitude is -12 point whatever and 88 point whatever. So location owner again is same. Hit create, save, and hit save. Now you have San Francisco associated. If you go back to locations, you'll see that there are two locations right now. Okay, so all of these details are saved instantly. Now, so the next step is to create transactions. So when a person receives an asset or returns an asset, so all those things need to be tracked, and that's the only way we'll keep track of who owns what. Okay, so go create a table. I can say asset transactions. To create, I'll say first not transaction type. So I can use a drop down here. I can also use color code and say this is an issue. This is a return. This is a purchase, and you know lost. So issue probably I'll say green. Return is red. Purchase is purple. Lost is red. So this return probably I can say blue. Okay, so all good. Suppose it's a transaction type. The next one is the asset. So that's a relation to another table and assets table. And I can say who is the employee I'm actually assigning it. So I'll say employee. This is going to be user column, and I hit create. Okay. So every time somebody gets a new asset or returns a new asset, so that's something you can actually track in this particular table. So I can click on create new record. The transaction is basically, let's say I'm issuing the XBR 129, this asset, to, let's say, myself. Okay, now I create this record. Now there is an issue record that actually gets created over here. Now, similarly, I can, whenever I'm done with the asset, I can actually return. So in that case, you create a new record. You see the transaction type is return, again by the same employee, and again by the same asset. Okay, and I hit create and it is good to go. So this way, when I want to do some kind of an analysis on who has a particular asset or how long did they have it, all of those things, so using these data points I can easily analyze and understand where the asset is actually at any point in time and how much time did it actually spend with a specific person. Okay, all right, so yeah, so that's all it took for us to create a simple asset management flow. Now the next step is again, like, how do I actually create insights out of it? How do I analyze the duration or the current occupancy of any of these assets, etc. So that's where we actually get into analytics on top of the data we are actually creating. Okay, so analytics is pretty simple. So the analytics infrastructure for Zorp is called Chronos. You have to activate Chronos the first time you're going to use it, which is going to start syncing all your data into Chronos. It's just a one-time activity. After that, all your data gets synced at a 1 minute frequency. That means you'll instantly have all the data available in your analytics infrastructure. Now, once that infrastructure is set up, you can create multiple charts and dashboards and queries, etc., to understand how your system is actually performing. So I'll show you how that actually works in a second. Right, so it takes a minute for it to sync. All right, so it's synced now. So now it opens Chronos. So Chronos again is a different platform on top of Zorp, which is used for all the analytics purposes. So you can go to your data sets, you can see all the asset transactions, your teams, users, your so other things are still getting synced, I guess. Yeah, so your locations, your assets, all of those things are actually synced over here. So I can create a chart. Let's say I want to see, you know, uh, how many assets are there in simple terms. So I can search for assets and I can see a big number. So there are multiple types of charts that you have available. You can search for, various types. There are more than 50 types of charts that are actually present in this particular platform. So choose, I want a big number right now, and this here. So create new chart. And here I can simply say, count of unique asset codes. So just say yes, click create chart, and shows that I have two assets at this point. So I can just save this as a chart. I'll call it total assets. I can, if you want, you can add it to a dashboard. So click save. Now it gets added to the dashboard, and you see a dashboard like this. The other metrics are created by default. You can ignore them for now, but so you have full-fledged dashboard which actually show this number in real time. You can also embed this dashboard again back to our platform. Now, once you create a chart like this, you can just go back to your previous portal, just refresh. You don't have to go to Chronos every time. You'll see the chart instantly available in the portal for all your users to use. And this data will get refreshed on a 1 minute frequency, so you're always aware. Okay. So apart from this, small things, like whenever you have transactions, you probably want to highlight or inform somebody that this is actually happening. In that case, I can just open a particular record and I can start adding comments like, hey, this was issued as per the new, let's say laptops. I can even tag other people. So right now I have only one user, so that's the reason I'm getting only one. But if you have multiple users, you should be able to tag a specific person and send a message, right? Similarly, any updates that have actually happened historically, you'll be able to see all the transactions that have actually happened. So right now, nothing big has actually or updates happened on this particular system. But let's say we want to, we go to something like assets, open steel case, let's say asset value changed to 252. And so if I go to logs, you will see that the historically all the changes that have actually been done are all updated and instantly available for you to review, right? Yeah, so that's mostly it. There are many other pieces that we can actually talk about: adding users, adding teams, reports, setting up alerts, adding more fields, reorganizing this structure, etc. A lot of those things, but probably we'll see some of those in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment and reach out to us, and definitely check out Zorp by signing up to Zorp.com. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.